Back in January, a longtime viewer and friend of the channel, Renee, told us an interesting story about a church located on Highway 75 in southern Manitoba. The Union Point Church was built in 1887 and lies just south of St. Agathe, Manitoba. It's only 20 minutes north of St. Elizabeth, the site of Hangman's Church, the last church we investigated. It's a standalone building that was once part of a thriving town in the early 20th century. Most Manitobans have seen this church on their way to the North Dakota border to enter the United States, and it stands out because it actually sits between the northbound and southbound lanes. Union Point was a rapidly growing town that, as well as the church, had a school, a post office, a hall, a hotel, and of course a handful of houses. It was a prime docking point for steamboats in the early 1900s due to a large sandbar in the Red River. But as railways expanded and trains became the more popular mode of travel, Union Point saw less and less travelers and cargo come through its docks, and it began to spell the end for this once bustling little town. The date that Union Point officially became a ghost town is unclear, but the current owner Scott Parker estimates that the town was still thriving until sometime between the late 20s or early 30s. The church burned down for unknown reasons in 1939 and was rebuilt the following year in 1940. Despite the heavily diminished population, church services were held here until the 1960s. In the 1980s, Highway 75 was split into northbound and southbound lanes. The rest of the town was demolished, but the church was saved from demolition due to the adjacent graveyard. Restricted from paving over the cemetery, the road workers simply paved around it. In 1997, the church's foundation was overrun with floodwater during Manitoba's historic flood of 1997. This once again put the church at risk from being torn down, but it was once again saved by local residents bound and determined on preserving this piece of Manitoba's history. And once again, they succeeded. In 2005, the United Church of Canada sold the building to a local group of residents for $1. These residents maintain the church and its grounds to this day. Scott Parker is the current owner of the church. He says the church is still used for weddings and occasionally as shelter by weary travelers. Our source Renee told us the tragic story of one such weary traveler. A man who was stranded out in the harsh Manitoba winter entered the church in a last-ditch effort to escape the cold, but since the church had already been abandoned, there was no heat. The man didn't last the night, and he died of hypothermia. Renee has heard and tells us that you can still sometimes see the shadow of a man in the window while passing the church on the highway. Of course, this could all be a rumor, but recently a viewer named Cole told us a very similar and very creepy story. Cole was snowmobiling in the ditch next to the northbound lane of Highway 75 in January 2014. He slowed down as he neared the church and noticed what looked to be the face of a man in the window, and Cole said it appeared that he wasn't wearing any clothes. People that die of hypothermia are often found naked. This is a phenomenon called paradoxal undressing. People in this state are often delirious and think that they're absolutely burning up when they're merely moments away from freezing to death. Cole entered the church to see if this man needed help, but when he opened the door, there was nobody inside. As paranormal investigators, we of course found this tragic story extremely interesting, but also as Manitobans, we wanted to visit this church to pay respects to this relic of our history. We decided to visit the Union Point Church. All right.
Okay, don't get too spooked on here.
All right, I'm turning the Ovilus on. Okay. All right, I'm here to make contact with somebody that I had heard lost their life in this building that died of hypothermia. My name is Jordan. I'm just here to ask you some questions. I heard noise over there. Is what I heard true that you lost your life in this building to hypothermia? You can use the Ovilus to communicate, or you can touch that device over there. It's lit up green right now. You can make it light up to red just by touching it. so quiet in here. Oh, yeah. It said yeah. Okay. Can you tell me your name?
Whoa.
Tell me what your name is, please.
That looked really close to me. Oh my God. This is just the ground. Oh, hello. That looks very close to me. That's a graveyard over there.
Volume up my phone.
Oh, that's creepy. That freaks me out.
What were you doing when you were stranded?
Right at the doorstep. Apparently, it was possible that he passed away near the doorstep.
You don't want to talk now? It said leave. Why do you want me to leave? I'm only here to talk. Can you tell me what you were doing? Flat. Okay. Well, you had a flat tire?
This outhouse is terrifying.
What kind of vehicle were you driving? Whoa.
This outhouse is terrifying.
What kind of vehicle were you driving? Whoa. When that door shut, it freaked me out at first because I had already been getting like really good responses on the Ovilus.
It's weird to me that I didn't hear the door close when I was outside the church. And when I came back in and Jordan said that it did close and he felt like it was a draft, I don't feel that way.
I had dismissed it as just a draft because both doors were open at the time.
I don't think it was a draft, especially with all the activity that was going on in that same corner of the building later on.
Why did you make that door close? Ooh, where's Johnny? Who? Johnny, my partner. He was in here earlier.
Man, it's freezing out there.
Dude, that door closed on its own, and this thing's been giving me freaky
Say that again?
responses.
I didn't hear you say. What did you say?
I said that door closed on its own, and this thing's been giving me freaky responses.
Really?
Yeah. Because I asked if the stories were true,
What? Oh, yeah.
and it
yeah,
said yeah.
It said yeah?
And then it told me to leave.
You think there's wind?
Was that door open, the other door?
No. What did that say?
One? It said one.
I don't know. This one was open. Yeah, this one was open.
It could have been a draft then. Usually it's a
That's
draft.
weird. I got one thing when I was standing right outside looking at the graveyard. It was like standing right in front of me. It was like.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it was pointed right at the grass. So it wasn't picking up any like headstones or trees. It was literally grass. Because all I can see out there with this thing is good grass. I can't really see much of this.
Haunting.
Haunting?
Can you please tell me your name?
Whoa.
Did you get?
That's gotta be.
Oh, that looks like it's just the
That's
window.
the window, yeah. Fuck, that's
That's a
scary.
weird shape though.
Sorry to any viewers if the profanity in a church bothers you, but when things like that you see, it is kind of freaky. Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh.
Okay, that was loud.
That was
Was
a
that
loud
you?
creaky
Why?
thing.
But it-
That was no.
100%. Can you tell me your name, please?
We heard a loud bang towards the beginning of the night from the other side of the church, and it's kind of weird thinking about it now because I can't recall a single time where we heard that same noise anywhere else in the night.
My name is Johnny, and this is Jordan. Can you say our names? We just want to know if we're out here talking to the person who supposedly froze to death, or are we even talking to him at all?
This is a very old building, too.
Like,
Peter, is that your
Peter.
name? Peter. Okay.
Normally, we don't introduce ourselves to the spirits, but we did it this time because a few of our viewers suggested that it might be helpful. Earlier on in the night, I asked many times, "What is your name? Can you please give me a name?" And finally, I felt almost relieved that we got a name. It was Peter.
But
was your name Peter?
it is a common name, especially if this was like decades ago. Yeah, a very common name.
Peter, if you're here, give us something. I know you made a couple of noises around here, but I mean, look at this church. That's not a lot for us to go off of. Unless the door closed, was that? Did you hear that?
Yeah, there's like
Whoa.
you.
That sounded really creepy the way it said that.
It said you, and I heard like creaking noises from here.
Yeah, I heard it too. That gave me a really uncomfortable feeling. Like
Yeah, we heard creaking noises.
Sick feeling in my stomach right now.
Creaking noises from the entrance, and it said you.
Oh,
It said leave earlier, so I'm wondering if it's trying to like lead us out. Industry? Are you trying to?
What kind of, maybe he was in for his line of work? Industry?
Maybe.
Can you be more specific if it means anything? That gave me a really gross feeling. I don't know why. I know it wasn't really that crazy, but
It was creepy.
oh, because it happens at the exact same time. What is that?
Befriend.
See, that's when it starts to creep me out. It's like, why would a spirit say something like that?
Hearing the word befriend come through freaked me out a lot more than Jordan. And the reason behind that is because I feel like it's an inviting word. If it asks if it can befriend you and you say yes, that's to me the initial start of something following you home.
Just a word that here says, I'm too cold. That's so weird.
Sleeping.
How's my stomach? It's,
What was that?
how was that?
It sounded like a squeak of a door hinge or something.
That sounded like a door handle opening. It's,
What was that?
how was that?
It sounded like a squeak of a door hinge or something.
That sounded like a door handle opening. Like, here, let me just try and do this. It sounded like this. Holy smokes, dude, that's really freaking me out.
Open the door.
Oh man, really? My stomach is hurting.
See if there's something behind it.
Oh God, man.
Peter, is that you? Nothing?
But it really freaky. That's what it sounded like.
That was the sound.
That's a door handle.
Yeah.
You have to turn it all the way this way.
Look, here, show me.
You have to go all the way.
And that was exactly the sound we heard.
That's a stiff door handle.
All right.
Great.
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 Yeah, great.
Why? But the other thing was come from that area too. I can't even talk. The other noise came from that area too. Mm-hmm. When we got really freaked out. I think I said you.
Yeah, that's where we heard the floorboards creaking. Unlock. Unlock, it says.
What?
It said unlock.
What? We're just talking about a door handle?
Yeah.
Oh man,
door
this
handle
place is
is
getting
unlocked.
really, really, really intense. If anybody's coming, like, oh man, it's just freaky. It's like, cause there's like something like, oh, graveyards, man. Jackson?
At this point in the night, the name Jackson seemed very insignificant, but at the end of the night, and you'll see that this might be the craziest thing that we've ever got on the Ovilus.
Peter or another first name could be Jackson.
Yeah.
It's not a very common name around here.
No.
Maybe he was trying to drive down to Jacksonville? Or Jackson? Is there a Jackson?
There's a lot of Jacksons, yeah, especially in the U.S. That.
Let me get the SLS going one more time here. If there's anybody over there that wants to come through that door, we'd be glad to have you. Terry.
Terry. I was just spitting off a bunch of names.
Spending some more time towards the entrance of the church was really interesting because it seemed like something was trying to pull us towards the door.
Maybe. What if we put the K2 over there, see if we got anything?
There's something about that side of the room.
Oh, it's like a little
spike?
little spike.
How?
Went up to yellow. Right out here.
That's impossible in this building. That is 100% impossible. I mean, it's been impossible pretty much everywhere we've been, but...
Spiking. Getting close to the door and it's spiking.
No way. No way. See if I can catch something while you're in there. Because it's you.
Incubus?
Incubus. As you walked in that doorway.
I mean, it's not spiking crazy, but it's gone up to yellow. It was doing nothing. Absolutely nothing on the other end of the church.
Here, hang on.
I'm in here by myself now.
Oh, wow.
What'd you say?
It's picking something up. Come in here and look at this.
Come on.
Come in here, quick. Okay, so I've been shining it to this window and the other window. It won't do it on that window, only this one. Look,
Why would that be?
if I shine it to that window, the light on that window, it won't pick it up. The light's shining on that window. It's not even shining on the window that's over there. Because I'm trying to debunk it here. Go to that window. It should go to that window. What's it keep reaching for on the ceiling? That's arms, legs, that's everything.
It's got to be the window, though, somehow. Peter? They say Peter again? It's very uncommon for the Ovilus to say the same word 2 times. So when it said Peter again, that really kind of blew my mind. And we've had this Ovilus on several times for hours on end, and this has never happened to us. Major? Dude, it's focusing on that window. The camera's focusing on that window.
Look at that.
It's auto-focusing on that window where we're getting the shape on the SLS.
What is happening?
That's amazing.
Johnny's SLS kept picking up a shape in one of the windows, and when I pointed the camera towards that window, the camera actually started to autofocus right on that spot.
Levitation. Whoa, I heard a noise over there. Just as I panned my camera, I almost thought I saw something.
When it said levitation.
And I turned to pan towards it.
And it's like I thought I saw something creeping around that corner. Oh, that freaked me out, man. My heart is racing. Oh, I'm gonna go take a look, though.
He's not doing anything over here. This is so weird, man. I don't even know what's going on exactly.
Late. Yeah, it is late outside. It's late right now. The door's open.
Yeah, you shut it earlier?
Yeah, I shut it. Look, watch.
I think I have it on camera that it was shut earlier too.
This sensory deprivation was really unlike any other one for me. And the reason is very hard to explain, but when I had the headphones in and I was listening, I kept hearing a voice coming through that was kind of in the undertones of the other voices. And it was actually giving me full sentences, but I was always one channel behind when I was trying to figure out the word, and it was starting to give me a headache. And I'll explain that a little further, what I mean by that. So the spirit box goes through radio stations very quickly, and it's said that a spirit can use words to come through the audio waves and have a voice of their own. So I was right behind it every single time, and I'm not sure if that is what was giving me a headache, trying to figure out what it was saying, or if there was a spirit using my energy for the first time that I ever felt, and that's why I was feeling so drained.
Okay, it's getting really weird now because the same voice keeps coming through, and it's not one I've heard yet.
Who am I talking to?
It says,
Is it
hi,
Hi.
me. It's very clear right now. This is the weirdest thing I've ever. It's right there, but it's like on every channel.
Really? Tell me your name. Who's this voice that he's hearing?
Like it. Oh man, I'm getting lightheaded. But I'm trying to focus so hard. Adam.
Your name is
Oh, it's
Adam?
giving me a headache.
Tell me who you are. If your name is Adam.
Is that a bad thing? Practically.
It's not a bad thing that you want to talk. It's a bad thing that he's getting a headache.
Yeah, it said, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What are you doing
It's
here,
so
Adam?
hard to focus. Ace.
I asked you what you're doing here. That doesn't
Bradley.
make
It said Peter or Peters.
sense. Well, now you're just
The
throwing-
last name?
You're just throwing a bunch of names at me.
I heard the beep again.
Malice.
Ooh. I thought I felt that same thing moving. I thought you were moving.
I shuffled a little bit.
Oh, it's giving me a headache.
You want to stop?
Oh yeah. Oh
didn't
Man,
know
it's
what
like
to
I could
say.
hear a voice that was coming through every station, but I couldn't keep track of the words as they were going away. It's like I could figure one out, and then I couldn't get it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Visit.
Visit? It said visit and visitors. Didn't you say visitor
said
one
visitor
time?
too.
Yeah. I think it said that earlier in the night.
But it's like it was like I couldn't grasp what it was. Like what like I could
That's
tell
a
it was-
that's a really cool theory. Like that must feel like what it's like trying to get through if you're
yeah,
a spirit.
it felt like I was just like I was close to like every time a new word would come through, and it was like on every channel that like the same voice, but it was like I was like it was going too quick. But
Wow.
it felt so strange.
That's a crazy thing that like this has been a crazy night actually.
Jackson.
Jackson?
The last name Jackson. Jackson, Jackson, Jackson. Are you kidding me?
Dude, really?
Look at the tops. Look at the top of that. Jackson.
Jackson.
Jackson down there. Bottom. Jackson.
Oh, on the bottom. And Jackson. Did it say Jackson 3 times?
It said Jackson once through the Ovilus. What happened here? Somebody busted this one down.
Oh, that sucks, man.
King. It said King too.
Did it say King?
Through the spirit box in my last session there. What are the chances of Jackson? That's such a that is such a strange last name for out here.
Yeah, nobody really has the name Jackson.
I've never
out
met
here.
a person with the last name Jackson in person in my life.
Sorry.
Jackson is a really uncommon name from around where we live. If you are watching this and you're from this area, you would know that. And I've actually never even met anybody personally with the last name Jackson. But about an hour ago, Jordan and I were reviewing the footage for the first time since we recorded it, and we realized that the first time the word Jackson came through the Ovilus was immediately after I said the word graveyard. The second time we heard it was in an EVP when Jordan immediately walked into that room and closed the door. As soon as the door shut behind him, we heard an EVP of what we think sounds like Jackson. And if you're watching this at this point, we'll have already raised the audio and you'd already have seen and heard what we caught and what we heard tonight. The third time Jackson came through wasn't through the Ovilus, wasn't on an EVP, it was on a headstone in the graveyard. It's so crazy to me that this name keeps coming up, and in the moment we didn't even realize it until now, and I'm so excited to go back with this name in our minds and see what we capture next time.
The Union Point Church is not a famous haunted location in Manitoba, but it goes to show that not every haunted location can be found on Google. The story of this haunting exists in the legends told by people of the area and passed through many people by word of mouth until it finally reached us. This quaint little church serves to us as a reminder that, like a spirit, history can live on forever. And as the church carries on the history of Union Point to this present day, it also appears to carry the spirits of its former residents, as well as the unfortunate soul that passed away while seeking refuge inside of it.